wait, we're on the wrong sides. Hold on. There we go. We can fix things. I'm Ed Fries. I'm joined by Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how are you tonight?
Doing good. How are you?
This was a wild episode of NXT.
Oh, we go right into it. Okay.
and I use wild in all connotations. Wow. We got some people in the audience. I know I had to restart, so I'm missing some of the comments. I know In the Hot Seat podcast is in here. Hello, and welcome. OLED, you've been warned, but not by me. Look, we're gonna touch on the potentials, and we're gonna put it to the side because nobody knows what decisions are made and for what reasons. We're gonna just move it along.
Yep.
We have our friends HPC2 Sweet in the house. Hello. Thank you for joining us tonight. This episode was crazy. I mean, right from the word jump, we have Roxanne Perez in the ring, getting ready to cut a promo. Not 5 seconds, and this breakneck pace continued the entire show. It wasn't I thought it was really great in this opening segment. The more it went, the more I was like, why do we have this breakneck pace? We've got Turnbuckle Studios. Carl in Turnbuckle Studios, congratulations again on your 300th podcast. I was on it. I know Astrid popped in and made an appearance. We couldn't stay very long, unfortunately, because we do have to do NXT tonight, unfortunately. But everybody go ahead and watch that on all the old socials after the fact. We have Sean Cena, who I was talking to during the show. And we're going back and forth on Twitter, and we will get to our discussion on Twitter later. But the breakneck show starts right from the beginning. Roxanne Perez is in the ring, getting ready to celebrate the fact that she was the women's Iron Survivor. And all of a sudden we hear a car honking, and it's Grayson Waller pulling up in this massive Hummer. And then he starts coming in the ring. And these two have a really good back and forth. I really enjoy this back and forth. Grayson Waller being the uber dick who thinks that she is worth nothing and thinks that she's not worth his time. And she's like, not only did I win the Iron Survivor, I did it first, as in I did it before you won it. And secondly, I was the first competitor in and not the fourth competitor in like you were. I mean,
Facts.
absolute facts. Absolute facts. On top of that, we then get Braun Breaker coming out to go at it with Grayson Waller because they have their match set up for New Year's Evil. And Braun starts chasing Grayson Waller out through the crowd. And we go back to the ring, and Mandy Rose has attacked Roxanne Perez in the ring and is holding up her championship. We cut to a backstage promo between JD McDonough, who is going over with the medical professional, but he's telling the medical professional what's wrong with him, and asked the medical professional if he's correct, which of course he was, because he knows how to break bones, so he knows when his are broken, which ones are broken. I kind of like that idea, but we don't have time to do that because we got to get the Creeds in here to make sure we get that Creed storyline going between the Creeds and JD McDonough and the Creeds and Ivy Nile. But feeling like the segment hasn't even finished yet, we hear Roxanne Perez in the ring yelling and screaming, and Mandy's still, for some reason, on the ramp outside of the ring. I don't know why they're still on the ramp outside the ring in the middle of this video package. Because it wasn't like the video package went like 10 seconds. It was like a good 3.5 minute like segment backstage with the Creeds and JD McDonough before we get to Roxanne challenging Mandy for the title match tonight. And Mandy going, if that's what you want, little girl, you've got it. As if that wasn't enough. As soon as we get that finished, We switch to Wesley. We're going to leave Wesley there for a minute. Astrid, you and I have differing thoughts on the breakneck pace at which this show started. What did you think of this?
Okay, I was torn because I know you were watching it behind, but I was watching it as it happened. So my point of view when I first saw it was like, when I hear the honking, I was thinking maybe it's talking to the attraction arriving, because I think that would have made more sense than Grayson for me at first. And then I hear him talking. Him and Roxanne did very well. I love their back and forth there. He said, "Oh, you wanted your match was first because you had a bedtime to go to, and you had to go to bed earlier, and mom had to read you a story, a bedtime story." And then he just teases her about being one of Booker's favorites because he's not one of them, but she is, of course. Um, I like that back and forth they had there. I would have wished a guy wasn't interrupting a girl, because I feel like that happens in life as it is way too often. But that's just a different story for a different day. But I like the back and forth though, so don't get me wrong on that. But just like it felt kind of awkward at first, because I was like, wait, what's happened? All of a sudden the attack happened. We switch off backstage. The JD part, Julius Brutus, that was well done. I like how that played out on the TV, and even JD being like, "I'm an expert, like I know more than you, and I can tell you what's wrong with me before you tell me," which I like that part because it fits its character well. So that was fine. But then I hear like Roxanne going, "Mandy," and I'm like, I thought this was done. I was like, what the heck is she calling from? It took me a moment to realize that we were gonna go back to the ring again, and I was like, what is this back and forth here? So I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. I was like, I like the continuity that we got in just the couple of minutes here. And when the championship match was announced, I was thinking, I don't know how I feel about it, because like I was hoping this match would be on a bigger stage. Like I would liked to have Roxanne and Mandy towards WrestleMania weekend, and having Roxanne win on the big weekend like that to make it even bigger for NXT. So I was like, do I really want this tonight? I'm not sure. I'm not saying the match is gonna be bad, but I was like, do I really want it tonight though? But it's like I felt at first kind of weird, but at the same time, I liked how it played out on TV once I noticed everything that was happening. I feel like we never had anything like this. It was like that back and forth. I was like, what's going on? It took me a moment to like figure it out, but I like how it played out in the end though.
It feels like NXT is going to miss a real show sometime in the next few weeks. I have a feeling there's going to be a show, obviously not next week's show. I have a feeling there's a show in a couple weeks that's going to be a recap show where they're going to lose time to tell stories before January 10th.
Well, maybe the year-end awards, if they do them again like that.
There's something that's going to happen right around Christmas time, it feels like. It feels like that next show after Christmas we're going to lose, and they felt like they needed to put everything into one spot. Like they had to build everything, it feels like. And it didn't feel natural, but at the same time, it made me feel so Attitude Era with everything's happening all at once everywhere. And I know that's a movie, and I've yet to see it. Michelle Yeoh is apparently fantastic in it.
Yeah.
But it really felt like that. It felt like everything and everybody was like, I need to be out here doing my thing. And I like the idea. I know you say the men and the women interrupting each other wasn't fun. I loved the idea of having Grayson Waller being like, I'm more important than you.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying so, but I'm the man. And her being like, no, douchebag, listen, I was the first Iron Survivor. I should be the one to get out here first. I was already in the ring. You showed up to work late. Like, why is Grayson Waller rolling up at 8:02? Why isn't he here at 4 o'clock like he's supposed to be? I just watched an interview with William Regal where he says he's at TV at 10 a.m. for an 8 p.m. show. Grayson, why can't you be there at 4? Like, come on, dude. Hell, even Toxic Attraction, as late as they normally are, they've been posting lives on Instagram. On Mandy's Instagram, they're normally posting lives backstage lately.
Yeah.
But New Year's Evil seems like it's set. And then all of a sudden, Roxanne changes the game. Whew. So we get through all of that. Wesley is brawling with Stax. Wesley is having an issue with Tony D'Angelo, and this leads right into Wesley and Stax as a match. Yep. And I really enjoyed this match. This match was really fun. It was fast paced. Stacks felt like a real contender for this championship. Give me your thoughts. I know how much you enjoy Wesley. Give me your thoughts on Tony D'Angelo, Booker T, and Stacks.
I feel like it's a good back and forth, which I really like. Is that even though West is the one winning, in the end, you also showcase Stacks in a good way that you can just see him potentially going against West for the championship too. And like I said, I like the continuity of like we went backstage, he's attacking Wesley from behind, and then Tony's like directing traffic, and then this leads to the match happening from backstage up until they get to the ring. I like when they do stuff like that, just so like we get something different how the match starts. It doesn't really start with just regular entrances, ring the bell, and that's it. We came all the way from backstage. The part that I missed, though, because I was getting ready to kind of join Turnbuckle Talk for a moment, or putting my stuff ready, but I saw that Dijak just came out and just kind of make his presence known. And at the end is when Tony is attacking Wesley from behind as well. So I like how we not only do we get Stacks being there, just like he could be in the future running, but we also have Tony behind West and then Dijak on top of it as well. So I like how we have like a lineup of people ready for West to go against. But it made it interesting, just like you never know who they're really gonna have for the championship match. Is it gonna be a three-way? Is it gonna be one-on-one and then the next person? So I feel like it's interesting that they have a lot of choices.
Yeah, a couple of things I noticed in this match. Stacks looks fantastic. They really gave him a big opportunity in this match, and he didn't let them down. Him and Wesley had some really good chemistry. Booker T talking about the family and the mafia family and the D'Angelo thing. I think it's funny that Booker T goes, "I know about family," as in the main event mafia. And I'm like, oh, okay. By the way, if you've not seen the main event Mafia run, the second main event Mafia run may be one of the best things TNA ever did. It's during the middle of the Aces and Eights, so if you dislike Aces and Eights, you're not going to enjoy it. But I really enjoyed the Aces and Eights, and that's for a story for an Impact show some other day. But no, Booker T had a really good one, couple good moments in there with all that stuff. Also, more importantly, after the match, when Dijak's coming out, I love the fact that they took the shot of like right on Dijak's glasses, and you can see Tony D'Angelo sneaking in behind Wesley through the glasses. It's such an amazingly great shot. And it's so little that you might miss it if you don't quite pay attention to it. I thought it was really, really good. We're going to jump back to the comments. I figured NXT would save the match for New Year's Evil so Mandy could pass Shayna's reign. We are going to get to the fact that Mandy Rose lost the title at 412 days when Shayna's reign is literally 416. We are going to get to that when we get to the main event because Twitter is unhappy and very happy right now. So we'll just leave it at that. Yeah. We then get to a chase, but again, as if we can't stay on anything long enough, we get a breakneck twitch backstage again to a Chase U segment where Tia Hale and Andre are walking backstage, where Andre apologizes to Tia, saying that he was wrong last week, that he was caught up in the moment, and that Duke had her back, and Duke was right. And of course, as soon as he says Duke is right, he turns to his left, and there's Duke Hudson talking to Drew Gulak. And Andre Chase is not happy. Now, I was all excited to think that there would be like a Gulak thing going on and a Chase thing going on. It sounds like Gulak's going to be opening in Andre Chase's mind, rival school. Because they bring up the word transfer like window or something, which is a soccer term. But it's like they keep getting on Duke for he's going to transfer from Chase U to, I'm going to assume, Catchpoint. Like, we're bringing in the name Catchpoint, right? Mm-hmm. I would imagine, like, what else would they call it?
At this point, I really don't know, aside from that.
But, again, we can't stay with this too long, because as Duke is trying to tell Andre Chase that he's going to give Damon Kemp, I believe it was called the Chase U ass whooping, was it?
I think so.
I think it was that. We got to go back to the ring because KC Squared has to come out. Oh, wait, hold on, I'm sorry. But they're going to be at ringside because right now we're getting Diamond Mine versus Toxic Attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Was it just me, or do these four not have the same chemistry that Toxic Attraction generally has with their opponents?
I was torn about it because this is the part that I have missed because I was doing turnbuckle talk. So I went back to watch it during commercials. And here I am, like, based on our messages, I'm thinking, oh, the match is like about 10 minutes, right? So here I'm like pausing it when commercials are happening so I can catch up on it, make my notes. And I realized the match was like, what, 5 minutes maybe?
Five,
It's
yeah,
like,
maybe.
not more or less to give it a number. And it's just like, I knew this was kind of like a number one contenders match going into it, so I expected to be like a lengthy kind of match, like at least 10, 15 minutes the most, exaggerating, because I'm thinking this is a good build up because we have the champions in the commentary table. Like whoever wins, they obviously they do some kind of face off with the champions, and then to tell you that like all I have is that they begin to brawl, and then JC just throws Ivy to Casey Squared and to Booker, and Vic is asking Booker, "Are you okay?" But he doesn't ask the girls if you okay. I don't think I heard it. Might have to go back and rewatch it.
He doesn't.
Um, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, there's a brawl between Toxic Attraction. They go back inside the ring towards the end, and Casey Squared just at the same time they slide them out, hitting them, causing the DQ, and then here come Ivy and Tatum to join in as well. And I'm like, that was it? Seriously? I thought this match would have been longer than that. It's like I know why they were going to do after that, but at the same time, I wish the match would have been longer than what it was. And I don't know, it felt like not off, but it wasn't entirely what I hoped it would be or what I from when advertisements were happening for this match. But again, we saw later on why it happened this way. But it just I wish it would have been longer, to be honest. It's just like I think it deserved more time rather than just like the 5 minutes of like here we're done and then we're set it up for next week.
Yeah, it felt weird. It didn't feel like the two teams had chemistry. It felt like KC Squared was supposed to be in the match but weren't in the match, but they were on commentary. And Booker couldn't figure out if he wanted to put them over or trash them. And it was weird. And it felt weird because like Booker would like say something like mean and then 2 seconds later say nice things. And then say something mean and then say something nice. None of it felt like it fit. None of it felt like it went together. And then the DQ that they never announce as a DQ, so I'm assuming we're going to get a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
Because they never, did they announce it was a DQ in Toxic Attraction 1?
No, no, I don't think they announced the DQ, but they announced the match for next week as a triple threat. Yeah.
Okay, as a triple threat. I missed that announcement as a triple threat.
Yeah, that's the first thing I wrote after the match was always like 3-way at the next event, question mark. Literally what I wrote. Yeah. And then I saw something else and I said, gotcha.
So. But again, like, and I hate to keep doing this, but then breakneck speed. Now we're backstage and Fallon's on the phone. Mm-hmm. And JBBJ's backstage. And you can't even give us enough time to pay attention to her phone call because we got to pay attention to Brooks Jensen as he's putting on a new shirt. And whatever. I mean, apparently Fallon Henley's dad's not doing well, and they're concerned, but they're not concerned enough to do much about it. They're just like, well, you know, we'll get him, and next year will be our year. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm missing the meat and potatoes of why I needed to have this segment here. It didn't make any sense to me.
I think it's just like she mentioned not much because I feel like she should have mentioned a little bit more. But she mentioned in one little bit, it's just like, oh, we're having like financial issues, so like it's affecting the bar. And that's when the guys are like, it's okay. We'll think of something to like help you out, like smile now because we'll figure it out. And it just goes back to the point of like that Kiana wanted to buy the bar as it is already last time. So it's gonna go back to that point of it. And she was like, well, first I lost the opportunity to get into the Iron Survivor match, and then now this is happening. But at first they made it seem like her dad's not doing well, like health wise.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
The wording, but then they mentioned like something about like financial issues or like they're gonna have to figure. And he's like, yeah, he's gonna figure some stuff out. He's gonna make some calls like regarding about not losing the bar. And I'm like, wait, is it the health or is it the bar? Or is it both? And I feel like the wording it was confusing there. We'll figure it out
because they don't want to give us 5 minutes to like sit there and figure out what's going on. Because as soon as we do that, we get the backstage shots that we didn't need of Odyssey Jones and Von Wagner for, 45 seconds, which we could have at. Like, I don't want to see Briggs and Jensen on my TV screen as it is. But like, you could have given us 45 more seconds of them to explain what's going on a little bit further, than to have these two guys walking backstage.
Yep.
But when we come back, we don't get the match that we were promised next. We get Trick Mello backstage. Nice to see Trick back. It's always great to see Trick here. And he talks about how Carmelo got posterized and how people are saying that Mello missed. Which, honestly, Mello has the right attitude. He didn't miss. He had the match won until Waller slid him out of the ring. Like, Mello didn't miss. He just didn't, as he says, didn't win. I thought it was really good. They talk up the next two big shows that are coming up. I have a feeling that we're going to get Mello for the title at Vengeance Day. We're either getting it at Vengeance Day or we're getting it at Stand and Deliver. Mello in a championship match. It's one of those two that he's getting that shot. Because they're going to need to sell tickets. And Mello is going to put butts in seats. But it's a great moment where they show the photo of Axiom diving off the top of the thing. And then Trick zooms in, and in between the mass of everybody's chest, you just see Mello with his open mouth face, and it's just so great. It's a moment, in pure moment, captured in time. And Mello's like, no, delete that. And so it's like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go delete Axiom, and he walks away. And Trick's just like, but it's on Twitter. How do I delete it? I can't delete something off Twitter.
But did you? I don't know if you missed it that we're talking about Angela Bassett, like how it was like black don't crack because
yeah. But I mean, they're not wrong. Angela Bassett is a
she looks great.
She looks fantastic. For her experience in the years that she's put in all of the businesses that she's been in, Miss Angela Bassett, having seen Black Panther 2, is stunning.
Yeah.
Odyssey Jones beats Von Wagner when Idris Enofe does a drive-by. Is there really anything else that we need to say about this match?
No, thanks.
Okay, cool. Because NXT didn't have time to do anything else, so why should we? But honestly, like, it was a fine match. Like, honestly, they worked well together. It was an okay match. This finish was stupid. I didn't care for it. Robert Stone does something, goes in the ring, gets chased by one. Yeah. And then Idris Enofe does the Roman Reigns drive-by to Von Wagner on the outside so that Odyssey Jones can hit his finish.
And same thing, it just lasted like about 5 minutes. We barely had time to breathe and take it in before we moved on.
Before it was done. And then we get Javier Bernal and Mackenzie backstage. And
your
this might have
favorite
been
person.
You know what? You're right. Mackenzie Mitchell was a friggin' star in this segment. She was golden.
Yeah, she was.
She was great in this. They've given her an attitude. They've given her like a personality.
Yes.
She's not robotic ring person backstage interviewer number 14 like WWE likes to have. They've given her a Kathy Kelly style personality.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Kathy and Renee. Like you can actually you can remember them after the show because they talk more often and talk more out of like the usual stuff.
But not only do they talk more often, like they're not just there to do what they have to do. Like they have a reaction to something. So when Javier Bernal starts listing off the 3B things that he wants to name his fans, she's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And it's great. And she tells him that she's rooting, to be transparent, she's rooting for Ika Manjiro tonight. And I was like, oh God. Yeah. Oh God, I forgot that I have to friggin' watch Ika Manjiro versus Javier Bernal.
No, the funny one that I thought though when he goes like, big body ballers are gonna be my fans, and she's like, look at you, you're not a baller. And then when she just said it, I was like, oh, okay. And then he's like, oh, they're believers. And I was like, yeah, the only man I believe in is Joe Hendry. Sorry, Javier, that doesn't go with you.
Well,
no.
We believe in Joe Hendry. We believe in Bo Dallas.
Yeah, but nothing with Javier, though.
No,
just
nothing
letting
you know. We then have Nikita Lyons backstage reacting to the moments in the Women's Iron Survivor match. And it was fun. Yeah, I know. It was.
You like her
good.
outfit? I know that.
I did. I mentioned that to you when I saw the video from her TikTok on Saturday night when I messaged it to you. Yeah, it was fun. It was great. It was a cute little, but again, 30 seconds of things for Nikita Lyons, and boom, we're on to the next thing, which is Ika Minjiro versus, as I have in my notes, Big Body Javi, BBJ. My next words in my notes, as I've sent to Astrid, are, ugh, why? The match wasn't great. I didn't care for either one. I would have wished to have been doing anything else other than watching this match. And to making it worse, Ika Minjiro wins, which is fine. I mean, it's better than Javier Bernal winning. I probably should have... Stepping back from the fact that I don't care about Javier Bernal, wouldn't it have been better to, like, put over Javier Bernal, considering it seems like he's the one who's supposed to be getting the push?
Thank you. Yeah.
It's a silly decision to have Ika Minjiro win, because you would assume that Javi needs to be the one getting the push. But whatever, Ika Minjiro wins. Out of nowhere, Scripps is thrown into this, and I'm like, oh god, now I hate it even more. Because Scripps attacks friggin' Ika Minjiro, and I'm like, great, more people I don't care about. We're gonna have a 3-person feud that I'm literally going to want to watch anything else. I would rather watch Briggs and Jensen have a 20-minute backstage segment than have to watch that triple threat that we're going to get in the near future.
I
Thankfully,
feel bad for Reggie though.
I do feel bad for Reggie because I love Reggie. I think Reggie as the character Reggie was fantastic. The guy we saw on Raw in the 24/7 picture, in the things he did with Dana Brooke and all that stuff was great. Scripps is awful. Scripps looks like the bootleg Power Ranger that you'd find at the flea market. You know, that knockoff bootleg Power Ranger ninja thing that, like, it's not quite what you want.
It's at Goodwill too, probably.
No, it's not even good enough for Goodwill, because at Goodwill at least you can, like, people are donating, like, the old actual Power Ranger stuff still. Like I said, this is the bootleg stuff that you're finding now because it's like Christmas Eve at the flea market and you don't have time to get anything else.
Yeah, I see figures like that at Dollar Tree too. Like not only the WWE ones, but those that look very, really similar to those two, but they're not.
We then get a really, really good backstage vignette thing. And I'm going to let you take this over because it was about you. It was Wendy Chu. So go ahead, Astrid.
Yeah. I mean, it's not what I expected it to be, but I liked how they brought up some kind of story so we can get to know her. Because I feel like all we know about her is that she sleeps and that she likes to nap. But we don't know about her, like her character and her story. And that's why I liked about this the most. And not only that, by connecting it back to what happened with Cora. She's like, when she told us her story about some sleepover I think she had, and somebody threw a drink at her, and then when Cora did it, reminded her of that, so it brought back all these memories of when she was bullied. So like it connects it back to that story, like not only the soda getting thrown at her, but the part of Cora bullying her. But I'm like that they gave her some kind of personality, and there's more to the character, more to the story than what we've seen so far. And I like the detailing behind it when they put the people in the background while she's talking at the same time, which is something that wasn't expecting. But I like the details behind it.
Yeah, it was really good. It was talking about acceptance and accepting yourself. It's talking about, like Astrid said, she went to a sleepover, but she didn't think to bring another pair of clothes. And one of the mean girls at the sleepover that she thought was her friend threw, soda at her, and she had to sit there and be in those clothes. And she felt so alone and so ashamed and everything else. And it's just this wonderfully real moment with the character Wendy Chu. Like, it's obvious we're not seeing the person behind the thing we're not seeing Karen Q. To an extent we are, but like for the most part, we're finally getting, like you said, to the depths of what Wendy Chu is. And now all the sleeping stuff makes sense because the trigger point is the slumber party. So it's all about the sleeping, and it makes sense. And she talks about being accepted and wanting to be accepted for herself and everything else like that. And I really, really enjoyed that. I thought it was really well done. And they gave it time. It feels like the only thing on this show that got the time it needed for her to just tell the entirety of this story. It also tells me that we're not done with this feud, which is fine. Because Cora Jade needs something to do. And if she's not facing off against the new NXT Women's Champion, it makes sense that this is where they go. We then have the New Day celebration. And this is another segment that got pretty much the only other thing on the show that got the time it needed. We have the guys in the New Day doing the New Day thing. Like, you don't need me to describe what the New Day was doing in order for you to understand what happened in this segment. You know, Kofi talking about, you know, them being Triple Crown champion, you know, Triple Crown tag team champions. Woods bringing up that Kofi's now the only singles and tag team Triple Crown champion. Woods bringing up and Booker T disputing the fact that Kofi is now has the most single reigns as a tag team champion. Booker T now claiming he has 16, by the way, which I thought was really funny. And Woods and Kofi being like, I wasn't going to bring it up because Booker's already so salty, but yes. And then Pretty Deadly come out. And they give us a really good performance here. Where they're talking to New Day. And New Day are putting them over. Like New Day needs to do. Being like, no, we think you guys are great. And you guys are going to go on and do great things. And it shows that New Day gives a darn about the tag division. And the reason why New Day is here is to elevate that tag team division. And New Day says that they can have... Hold on. We got Sean Cena saying, sorry to any Bloodline fans, but the Usos can't say they are Triple Crown champions. They are not, because they have never won the NXT Tag Team Championships. Like they said about Woods, this is Woods' first NXT title in NXT. And he was talking about how him and Big E was the first match on the first episode of NXT when it swapped over from FCW way back in the day. It's just really great to see. New Day offers Pretty Deadly a rematch. They're like, look, we'll make it easy for you. If you say the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll go ahead and give you a tag team rematch for the tag titles. This is where the segment lost me. Everything up to here was really, really good. Everything beyond here is really, really bad. We have the entire crowd, Brooks and Jensen, and the New Day reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Meanwhile, if you've ever watched the New Day on Twitter, they have plenty of things to say about the country that they just pledged allegiance to, and how it's... Oh, the pledge is just such a weird thing, and it's a political thing, and we don't want to get into it, but, like, it's not justice for all. Like, especially for the New Day. Like, let's just put that out there and go, the New Day understands that it's not justice for all. But Pretty Deadly refuses. Brooks and Jensen come running out with a big-ass American flag, and of course, if there's an American flag in the ring at a wrestling show, the crowd's going to chant USA because we are sheep, and that's what we do. Tell me I'm not wrong. We've been to wrestling shows. All it takes is 1-2 guys in the ring to have a flag and start chanting USA, and the entire crowd starts doing it.
I mean, do I go, I don't belong here, but sure, I guess.
You may not chant it, but you know what I'm talking about. You know how easily that happens. Especially at an independent show. Oh, yeah. It doesn't take much. Wrestling crowds love to chant shit. Ask this wrestling crowd, who was chanting Triple Crown and Woods and You Deserve It. And they were chanting for Santa. But yeah, the segment lost me when they started doing the whole USA thing, because I don't understand why it's USA versus England. But it is. So next week we're apparently getting Briggs and Jensen versus the New Day in a tag title match, which is honestly what we said was going to happen. The New Day were going to come down and they were going to start facing everybody in the tag division. And you're going to see everybody get a shot. And the New Day is losing this titles either at Stand and Deliver or they're losing them at Vengeance Day. I don't think they're losing them on January 10th. I think we're going a little further than that because like you've said before, especially at Deadline, it makes a whole lot of sense to have the New Day on the Vengeance Day pay-per-view to sell tickets.
Sorry, I put my marketing cap on.
You did put, but you know what? It's not. Sometimes the marketing cap is a good cap to wear. NXT apparently forgot that in the main event, but we'll get there. We then have JD Douchebag versus Brutus Creed. In another match that they rushed through, a really good match that could have gone twice as long if they just like had another week. I really feel like NXT feels like they're missing a week of TV that they wanted to have, and everything just got shoveled together. Talk about JD McDonough versus Brutus Creed, because I know you're a big fan of the Creeds.
It just reminds me of the women's tag match. It feels so rushed. I feel like there was barely anything for me to take notes on. The only thing that I did notice more than anything is that even with JD here, we still see like they showing up Brutus and his power. It's something that was really highlighted here. The big thing was when JD was grabbing the chair, and this year just comes in and takes it away from him, and just like it goes back to that theme of like we want to face the Creeds healthy, so they'd rather have him win clean than win with the chair shot, if anything. But just JD wins, and then we have Julius just helping his brother up there. Yeah, it goes back to that standpoint of like we want them like 100%, and it's like if they're not good now, we're waiting for them to recover, but we want nothing new to happen to them, basically. But there was another match that I feel like I was trying to take notes, and I was like, oh, that's over. Like I didn't realize like they put so much tonight that it felt like I was watching more than a 2-hour show. There were moments that I kept thinking, like when the women's match was happening, I looked at my clock, I was at 9:55. Like it feels a lot longer than that tonight. Plus, not only the overrun that we got for the championship match, but it feels so much longer than the 2 hours that we got.
Yep. I have all the exact same stuff in my notes here. It's a great match. It was way too quick. JD McDonough, for the second straight time, facing a Creed brother, tries to use the steel chair on the outside. Indusher takes it away because, like you said, I love this Indusher. I love that Indusher is being the bad guys, but also they're like, look, we don't need you to be beat down to beat you. We can beat you whenever we want. So have the matches you want. We're going to stay here and make sure that, nobody does anything untoward to you. If you get beat up in the match, you get beat up in the match. We're not going to stop that.
Yeah.
By the way, the Devil Inside is one of the best finishers in wrestling. I know I give him a lot of guff and I call him a lot of names, but JD McDonough is probably one of the better wrestlers in the company right now. He's so good in the ring. He's really good on the mic when he's in the character that he knows. And they've given him something that I think he can sink his teeth into. Not trying to create a pun here with him into hurting people, but like you kind of get the idea that he's into the character they've given him and he's enjoying it, and it seems like it's connecting with him, which is helping it connect to the audience. Brutus Creed still does nothing for me in the ring. Julius is really, really good, and I can feel the emotion when I watch Julius wrestle. I don't care about Brutus. I don't. He's the Rick Steiner of the Steiner brothers in this tag team. I just don't care.
Dang, that's too accurate.
I was gonna say, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me Julius isn't the Scott Steiner of this team. Think about it. One's really big and bulky and kind of just like there and doesn't cut a good promo. And the other one is charismatic, a little bit more muscly, the one that the one that the camera obviously cares about, and all the stories are built around which one? Julius. Just like all the stories were always built around Scott. They are the Steiner brothers, and Julius is Scott without the steroids.
Wow.
I'm sorry, without the overworked muscles. Scott Steiner did not do steroids. I do not need that man coming after me. But no, it was just so quick. I feel like we skipped a segment here. It was a butt first thing. Like we got JD McDonough coming to the ring, and we had a butt first. So we have the new girl, Jakira, right? Jakira, she's Lash's partner. Yeah, she's Lash's partner. I don't care about either one of them.
No, Jacana has a personality at least.
Lash is a personality too. I don't care about either one of them in the ring.
No.
We had of the people I could tell. We also had Elektra Lopez, who was talking,
Mm-hmm.
Amari,
Yeah.
who was doing her makeup in the background,
Mm-hmm.
Sol Ruka, and
Yeah.
then there were like 3 or 4 other people that I have no clue who the hell they were.
Yes. So I was doing the makeup of one girl, and I was trying to look to see who it was, but I couldn't pinpoint her.
Hello, Parrish. I hope you had a good night. You know, it was a crazy night on NXT tonight. It was. It
Yeah.
was. They were balls to the wall. They were going to fit 4 hours worth of TV in 2 hours, and I don't know if they succeeded. After the JD and McDonough match, we get Zoe Sark backstage. Oh, I'm
Wait, but
sorry.
you missed Indy.
Yes. You know what? I don't think anybody's
I know
going to
that was a
remember that
lot.
Indy Hart. I don't think nobody's going to remember that Indy was even in the segment.
I do. Thanks.
So Elektra Lopez says that Indy Hartwell just can't win the big one. That if Elektra Lopez were in the match, she would have won. And almost as soon as she finishes the word "won," Indy Hartwell's boot meets Elektra Lopez's face.
Moopy's face.
Yes, boot meets face. Yeah, it was fine. I don't want to see Indy Hartwell versus Elektra Lopez. We're going to see Indy Hartwell versus Elektra Lopez. I'd much rather see Indy Hartwell on Raw. I don't care what she does in NXT because it doesn't matter. No offense. Like, I love Indy Hartwell. I think she's super talented. Until she's doing things on Raw with the Way, nothing she does makes any difference. Because
No,
she's
I
not
feel like
staying.
yeah.
She's not
Just at
staying.
this point, no. So
She's there for a veteran presence for these younger girls. And I say veteran presence, like, she's been in the business, what, 6 years? She's been in the business a little longer than most of the other girls in NXT.
mm-hmm.
And that's only because most of the girls in NXT have been in the business less than 2. Like, honestly, with the exception of the girls from NXT UK and Mandy Rose, like, none of these girls are long-term business girls. Kiana James doesn't feel like a long-term business girl. Bianca Sorelli, who's not currently, she's currently injured, but we all know she's Santino's daughter, so yeah, she knows the business, but she hasn't been in it long. Roxanne Perez, as talented and as accomplished as she is, we all know she's not been in the business long. Is what, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 to 4.
Booker T said she what? She won it in 2016. She won the Reality Wrestling Championship.
Yeah, she was
And
17 when she won it. So
yeah, and then she in 2020 she won the we'll get to that part because I have a bone to pick
I
with
know.
Booker about how he said something later on.
Yep. I had Mike tell me the same thing, but I was like, still, Ring of Honor was mentioned, which is big enough for me.
Yeah, but he downplayed a lot of what Ring of Honor did while doing it.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. We have Zoe Stark backstage talking about how Nikita Lyons is a waste of space, and I said, Zoe, I hate you. I hate Zoe Stark. You can clip it. You can put it out there.
I love my favorite part. Let her do the TikTok dances. I'll bring my talent in. I was like,
What
where's
talent?
Ed when I need him?
What talent? What, you're going to try wasabi and throw it over your shoulder badly like you did when you were tag team partners with Io Shirai? What talent? You don't have any acting talent. God hopes you're better in the... And by the way, she's really good in the ring. I will say it again. She's really good in the ring. But you know what? I didn't care about her when she was tagging with Io Shirai. I didn't care about her really when she was tagging with Nikita Lyons. Like, I don't care about Zoe Stark. And I don't think anybody else does either. But apparently we're going to get that match next week as well. Mm-hmm. We get a Bird Lady promo talking about how Lyra Valkyria.
There you go.
Is that the way?
Yeah.
I hate that.
The last one.
The Bird Lady. It's going to be so much easier to just call her the Bird Lady. We get a Bird Lady promo before her debut. Mm-hmm. But first, we get an Isla Dawn promo about how next week is the winter solstice and it's the longest night of the year, and how Alba Fire is going to satiate the enchantress of the night. I tried to remember this because I really like the Isla Dawn promos and I'm not quite getting it. But something about the spirits were happy with Isla Dawn winning, and explaining how the referee started choking up Black Mist during the match when he got misspit in his face the week before on TV. I don't know. It's cool. They're going to continue this feud, and I'm all happy for it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything to say about any of these promos?
No, I only had Isla Dawn promo. That's it.
So now we get to the debut of Lyra. And she's facing Amari Miller. Because of course she's debuting and facing Amari Miller. Everybody faces Amari Miller when they debut. Astrid did point that out, and it's pretty much true. Because isn't Amari Miller the one who took... No, not everybody debuts against Amari Miller because Tia Hale's still there. Isla Dawn debuted against Tia Hale.
It could have been Amari anyway.
No. They're different. They're not as different as Tia Hale and the lady that I found on TikTok last week. I found some lady on TikTok who's like a cheerleader character who looks and sounds almost like Tia Hale.
Well, let's specify. She's from WoW. So
she is from Women's Wrestling, and she's fantastic. But she reminds me of Tia Hale, and I already hate her. I watched one promo, and she reminded me of Tia Hale, and I just messaged the entire promo to Astrid and go, I already hate her because she feels like Tia Hale. But we get Lyra's debut, and it's fine. Amari Miller gets way too much offense for my liking. Like, it's an enhancement match to show off Lyra, and I feel like it was an enhancement match to show off what Amari could do. Mm-hmm. What did you think of this debut? You've seen her once or twice on NXT UK.
No, I didn't get to watch her, but I definitely want to go back and watch it. But yeah, I just felt like if it was supposed to be to show off Lyra, there was like a little bit of both instead of just more Lyra than Amari. So I thought that felt weird at first, but it happened very quickly too. Not I expected. I know it's a squash match to introduce her, but still I expected it to be a little bit longer. It also felt like it was like maybe 5 minutes more or less. But I like the presentation of her, like the way they did her entrance with the smoke. It just reminds me of what they did with Isla Dawn as well, which I like that presentation, that visual when she came in. But yeah, it just felt like super quick match. Her finisher wasn't the best thing either. I thought it would have been something impressive. It really wasn't for me.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. There's two things I had that I didn't like about this debut. One was the CGI rain. I didn't feel like the CGI rain was all that good. And two was the finish. She does an almost frog splash. Like, she kind of moves in and moves out, but it's not even a real 5-star frog splash. It's just like a splash. I saw her get up to the top rope. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like a bird. So I'm expecting something really cool. And she does it, and I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I felt anticlimactic when I saw it. I expected something like visually like appealing when she came out. And then it just like, I felt like she just went, and that was it. I'm like, that's it. I felt bad with it at the same time. Like I thought there was something more was gonna happen there before she actually landed on Amari, but no, I'm still looking forward to whatever she does. I feel like this is just tonight was just different, so I'm just waiting for like a regular episode that was not like tonight whatsoever. So maybe we could see a little bit more from her, that like more detailing behind that.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm excited to see more of her because I'm still interested. But tonight was broadly fine. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. I'm not dying to see more of her like I am Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Like, I want to see more of Alba Fire. I want to see more of Isla Dawn coming out of their Deadline match, coming out of the promos they cut going into Deadline. I was excited to see them. Coming out of this match, fine. Like, it is what it is. We get Axiom versus Mello announced next week, as Axiom is backstage with Mackenzie, where he's asking her to look into his eyes. It's at this moment that I realized that Axiom has a really, really dry, funny sense of humor. Because he then asks her to look into his eyes to like see something. And like she's like trying to look through his mask. And Axiom isn't, like, he's not quite playing along, but he is playing along. I don't get it. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. But it was what it was, and it is what it is. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I remember when you sent that message to me, and I kept thinking, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then it happened. I was like, Well, it was alright, but I guess it's something I like. I guess we'll remember a little bit later. But yeah, I thought it was kind of funny more from her end than his end of like her trying to like look through the mask like anywhere she could to look into his eyes. And I forgot what line he says. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, he said, "Oh, I'm kind of nervous about this match," and she looked at him like, kind of like, "Are you?" He goes, "No, I'm not." And the way he like did it, it sounded a little bit funny, but it wasn't at the same time. But I feel like I liked more like Mackenzie's part in this rather than his.
Yeah. Again, Mackenzie Mitchell being the star of everything backstage that she was in tonight. Um, at least Axiom was trying to be funny and was doing a good job of it because I actually laughed at things Axiom said. And I'm really looking forward to Axiom versus Mello next week. That's going to be a fantastic match.
Hmm.
Do we think that opens the show?
Oh, it
Do you
should.
think you close with the tag team championships and you open with Mello versus Axiom?
I would, yeah. Yeah, the high flying action, fast paced to begin the match and get people to wake up, I guess.
Yeah, we have Duke Hudson versus. I honestly don't. Oh no, sorry. We have Duke Hudson coming out to the ring, but first we have Kiana, and it took me a while to do this segment to realize that was Kiana James. It took me way longer than I'm willing to admit to realize it was Kiana James. Like it took me to the moment that she handed him the gift and called over G to realize that it was Kiana James. I thought it was some random lady backstage that he was talking to.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So talk about Kiana James not being memorable. Like I when I see her out of her ring gear and like the look that she's putting off, I have no clue who she is. But she's flirting with Brooks Jensen, and it's fine. Um, God, I hate Brooks Jensen. I don't know why. I think it's because I see a lot of myself in Brooks Jensen, but I don't want to admit that. So I don't know.
They shouldn't
Either
be
way,
hitting, you should be seen.
dude, what did you think of the new shirt? Like, what is over under on whether or not he wears that shirt next week to the ring?
Oh, he is going to.
He's absolutely wearing that shirt to the ring next week, isn't
Yeah.
he?
Hmm.
So, for those who didn't see, it is a full black button-down shirt, like a dress shirt, and apparently it fits because she looked at him and she just knew what size he was. I
That was
can't
so
look at
random.
I can't look at myself and know what size of clothes I wear, and I buy the clothes.
Yeah, that was very random. He's like, okay. How long have you been staring at him that you knew his size?
Yeah,
First of all, but I don't like. I'm like, I like his personality and like the jokes and the sense of humor they have backstage them together and like JBBG as a whole. But like, don't change my country boy to whatever you're gonna change him to. Like, are you gonna turn into a business guy? Because that's not it. No, Lord, please.
is Fallon Henley going to lose the bar and they're going to lose the tag team titles because Brooks Jensen wants to get a little piece?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Moving on, we now have the match between Damon Kemp and Duke Hudson. And again, this is a match that feels like it's supposed to go 10 minutes that goes about 5.5.
Yeah.
The most important thing that happens in this entire match, which is sad because these two guys are actually really good and had a really good match, and the only thing I can remember out of this match is that Drew Gulak is out there for all of 10 seconds before Andre Chase walks up to him and tells him to leave, and he walks away.
How did I know already that was gonna be that moment? I knew where you were going with it.
Did you tell me two things that happened in this match other than the finish? Other than that.
Look, before the everything happened backstage with Shannon and Brooks, I saw Duke going to the ring. I kept thinking, who the heck is he going against? I
Yep.
kept trying to
I forgot
think, and
to.
I'm like, for a moment, I'm like, he, and then I forgot he mentioned at the beginning of the show backstage with Andre Chase and Thea, just like he said Damon, and I kept thinking, it's like, who is? And I kept trying to like thinking in my mind of the roster. It's like, no, that one already happened. That one already went. That one not it. And I'm like, what the heck? Who is it? And then when we come back and it's Damon, I was like, oh. Yeah, I don't think you're winning either, so that doesn't help me to remember this later. But it's just like you said, the bad thing is like the most memorable thing was Gulak coming in, Chase kind of running him off and telling him to go off, and just like Duke winning and just cheering with the Chase U with the crowd in the Chase U section. But like the match itself, all I remember is the big boot to do the ending.
Yeah, like that's the most memorable part of this match is the finish in the Gulag thing. Those are the only two things.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a shame because these two guys, I'm sure, can have a really good match if you give them 10 minutes. Give them an ad break and give them 10 minutes. They're going to have a good match. By the way, the Chase U student section tonight in full force. Almost that whole little section there seemed like it was a Chase U student section.
I gotta be proud. I think I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I don't know when Waller won the match that he had. My friend was the one in the Chase U section in the W.com gallery. So I was able to send it to him. He's like, I'm doing my review, picking pictures of my review, and I find you of all people behind Grayson Waller. I forgot the way when the girls thing happened with Kiana and Brooks though. When she gives him the shirt, then I think it's when the CKC Square battling with Ivy and Tatum, and then Toxic Attraction comes in. So that's when they start brawling backstage too. So it wasn't even just the match; it was backstage too. I forgot to mention that.
I honestly missed it. Didn't even didn't even see it. I think because it was Kiana and Brooks, I had zoned out so much that I even missed that.
Dang.
Which is sad because that means I missed Toxic Attraction again. We all know how much I enjoy Toxic Attraction.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3 matches, apparently 4, announced for next week. We
Mm-hmm.
have Zoe and Nikita.
Yeah.
We have JBBJ and New Day for the Tag Team Championships. We have Axiom and Mello. And apparently next week we're also having the triple threat for the Women's Tag Team Championships.
Yeah. Oh, and Electro and Indie got included as well. So I got 5.
So next week is going to be another breakneck episode where everything's going to get 5 minutes and we're not going to enjoy any of it. If Axiom and Mello don't get more than 5 minutes, I'm going to be angry. I'm really going to be angry because like they need to give it a break because this could have been a really good episode, but everything felt like it was rushed so much to get everything on the episode that it just didn't work. And I feel bad for the talent. Because there's a lot of good talent in here that we're not talking about in the glowing ways that they should. Duke Hudson is doing a fantastic job in Chase U. We don't get to talk about how great it is because the match was so short and they didn't really give it an opportunity. Ivy Nile's been on 3 straight NXT shows.
She broke her record.
Whether it be an actual NXT episode or a deadline. She's now appeared 3 consecutive shows. Not even weeks, just shows.
Yeah.
Good job for Ivy Nile. Tatum Paxley had a really good match as part of that that tag team match. She was one of the stars of that match because I thought Ivy didn't look as great as she normally does in that match. I didn't think she had quite the chemistry with Toxic Attraction that Toxic Attraction typically has with other competitors. There were some really great backstage segments that felt like they were cut really quick. That opening segment, that if it had been 3 minutes longer and we didn't have the break in between of, having a 3-minute breakdown where we had JD McDonough backstage with the Creeds, having Roxanne get beat up and then as Mandy's walking away and about to leave, have her challenge it and then go backstage, would have felt a lot better. It just seemed like there was a lot of things that I wish we could have talked about in better regards, and they just paced it terribly by trying to shove all of it into this week's episode.
Yeah, if you think about it, there was moments that they showed us Roxanne backstage twice, Mandy once. We saw Vaughn on his way to the ring, Odyssey on his way to the ring. Like, we don't need to see that. And I feel like the Nikita TikTok thing, if you saw it, you saw it, but that didn't need to be part of the show for you to announce the match with Zoe next week. You just announce it in the corner like you did and don't involve her TikTok dances or her celebrating because it has nothing to do with the Zoe thing. So it's like those little things that, they could have been, removed, if anything. Like Javier and Hikimanjiro, I would have done without the match because I feel like it's so rushed. And even the scripts part is something that I would have cut from and just added that out to later. But I feel like those little moments backstage when you get something of like people walking, and it's like, why would I need to see Roxanne on the way to the ring twice? I know she's concentrating in the title match. I don't need to see it. Like you already know how Roxanne is, so you already like figure that out as it goes because of her character. I don't need to see her getting ready and walking to the ring, and Mandy tunes like, we know they're coming. There's the last thing that's happening, and the only thing left on the card tonight. So just, I don't get
And then we get to the main event.
it.
All right.
Compose yourself.
So I've talked to Astrid on how we're going to handle this.
Hmm.
Things came out over the weekend, post deadline, that people have invaded Mandy's privacy and broken some barriers that shouldn't be broken. People are allowed to make money however they see fit as long as it's legal. It's legal in this country to do a whole lot of things, and Mandy Rose had a side hustle, apparently, supposedly. If not, then just stuff was leaked, and that's terrible. It should have no bearing on a championship reign that she's earned such a well respected championship reign. Because I remember we thought it was a joke when she won the title at NXT's Halloween Havoc. When she came back and I named her the Demented Brunette after the Saray stuff. When they acted like they broke her nose and all of a sudden she came back and she was no longer blonde and she had the dark hair. She's done such a good job in the past year and a half, 2 years to get to the spot she was. And whether that played a role into the decision or not is not for me to know. I have no clue. I don't know these people. I don't know these things. I really hope it didn't. More importantly, we're going to go back to the comment that John Cena brought up. I figured that NXT would save the match for New Year's Evil, which was the original place that this match was supposed to happen. They had announced it earlier in the show that it was going to happen at New Year's Evil, and then it got moved up when Roxanne decided to do it tonight. The reason why it felt so weird that they do it tonight is because Mandy Rose is at 412 days as NXT Women's Champion. If she wins tonight, or doesn't lose the title is more important, she would, there's no way she doesn't surpass Shayna Baszler at 416. I don't know why they didn't want her to break Shayna Baszler's record, and if they did, then they should have just had her lose it to Alba Fire, or had Roxanne in the last woman standing match and not had Alba Fire in it at all.
Yeah.
That being said, I could not be more proud of Roxanne for winning this match.
Mm-hmm.
I have said since the moment she debuted that she was going to be the person to dethrone Mandy Rose.
Yeah.
They've done it since the first promo that she cut. The little girl watching TV and playing the video games and all that stuff. We knew right then and there, the way they were debuting her, that she was going to be the one to take the title off Mandy Rose. Because I even believe I said it on that show. That I said, I don't think it's going to be this first attempt. But if they come back to her later, that's where she'll do it. I didn't think Mandy Rose was going to wrestle again this year. I was wrong. Mm-hmm. Mandy Rose had another killer match here, by the way. That knee, that V-trigger knee that she does. I get that Kenny Omega's really, really good at it. And he puts a lot of oomph into it and he runs across the ring. But you want to know what? Hers looks like it hurts a hell of a lot more than his. Because hers looks real and his looks like a wrestling move. That being said, Roxanne Perez is our new women's champion and she earned it. This is a really fun match. I would have liked it to have had another 5-10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I think it could have done with another 5-10 minutes. But I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about the new women's champion.
Yeah. I don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start from like what we mentioned at the beginning. When the show started and the way that Roxanne said, I'm getting that title match tonight, I was torn because I kept thinking it's Roxanne gonna lose it tonight and then she gets a rematch later on, because in my mind I didn't see Mandy losing and not being able to surpass Shayna, because that was my vision. She's surpassing Shayna, and obviously. And then I kept thinking, if Roxanne wins the title, or when she does, not if, but when she does, thought it was gonna happen in a bigger stage. So, like I said, I was thinking more like WrestleMania weekend of like making it one of the big highlights of like the NXT show. So when this happened tonight, I was torn because I kept thinking I want Roxanne to win the championship, but I don't want it to happen on a regular NXT night because I feel like even tonight with tonight's show, I feel like yeah, it was the highlight of the show, and I feel like it would have had more. It should have had more time because it also felt rushed as well, just like the rest of the show, even with the overrun. I remember looking at my clock; it was like 9:55, and they were like already starting the like about to start the match, I believe. And it's just like I kept thinking that I feel like they don't have enough time, even though they did very well with the time they had, but it didn't feel like they had enough. Like I don't feel like I remember half of what happened during the match because it just I feel like it happened so quickly as well. But again, it's just like it was a great back and forth between the ladies. I remember the cartwheel that happened between both of them. I love the part of like her doing her bow like she usually does, Roxanne as well. Those little details that she does. Um, but yeah, just like all I remember is like, oh, she does the kick, and then Roxanne kicks out, and then the fans are shocked. That was like the moment that like that happened, like my attention the most that I remember the most out of it. And then her doing the pop rocks to win. I really thought it was a two. So when like the bell rang, I was shocked at the same time. Even though you had told me so, I thought something else was gonna happen before the ending. Um, yeah, just like seeing how random it was on a random NXT night made me think from the beginning what is happening, like what happened with Mandy, and like whether it's like backstage in some way her personal life that they're basically cutting off the championship match like this and taking away like her passing Shayna. um yeah, I'm still shocked by it either way, but I kept wondering what happened with Mandy more than anything. That was my thought, and that's when you brought it up with like what happened because I had no idea what happened over the weekend. It's just upsetting to think like a woman's privacy, like it shouldn't have happened this way, the way it did. But it's unfortunate that after having such an iconic reign of like something happened unexpectedly for all of us when she became champion, for it to end the way it did, it's disappointing as well.
And that's the thing that I'm most, and Carl says it right here. I checked the Twitter box to see that Roxanne won, and I was blown away with shock. Trust me,
Yeah,
so was the crowd, because they
yeah.
pan to that crowd after Roxanne wins. And it's not a crowd that's super excited for Roxanne who just won. It's a crowd dumbfounded that Mandy just lost.
Mm-hmm.
And like they quickly get on Roxanne's side, and they're cheering for Roxanne. And it's not like they were unhappy Roxanne won. But Roxanne winning the NXT Women's Championship didn't need to have the same feeling that, the Undertaker's streak being broken had. And that it had similar feels to it tonight. Like the crowd reacted in a similar way. And whether it's one thing or another, it's just weird that that's how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that being said, it couldn't happen to a better individual. Mandy
Yeah.
Rose is Mandy Rose's stock has risen so much in 2022. Um, I was I was helping you with a little bit of research for something that you were
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah.
Mandy Rose has 22 wins in 2022. She has 91 wins in her entire career. Mandy Rose is undefeated in multi-person matches. And it's not like she had one or two. I want to say she was like 4-0 in multi-person matches, being like one on one, like not being a six-man tag. In
Mm-hmm.
six women tags, that was where she was her most beatable. She lost more matches being tagged with JC and Gigi, because that was the only opportunities they really had to put L's on Mandy Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this title reign deserves more respect than the ending gives it. And I agree with
Yeah.
you that ending it randomly on an NXT does it no good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they get themselves out of this, but I really hope this
Yeah.
doesn't ruin Roxanne's run with the championship going forward,
Mm-hmm.
because she deserves the world, because she's super talented and she's amazing. And as much as I love Mandy Rose, and we all know how much I play up how much I love Mandy Rose, and how much I play up that I love Nikita Lyons, Roxanne is fantastic. And she's going to represent this brand in the best way possible. And you had Booker T crying in ringside, and it was great. I felt like there was another missed opportunity there. When she wins the title and she's sitting in the ring crying, she rolls out to the side with the Tron, as opposed to rolling out by Booker. I don't care what their relationship may or may not have been at Reality of Wrestling. Mm-hmm. If you're going to play it up the way you have, it would have made more sense to have her walk out there and give him a hug. Regardless if it, like, I don't know what their relationship is. I'm not claiming to say that there's heat there or not. I ain't got a clue. I'm sure that they love each other and everything's fine. But it would have made a whole lot more sense, unless I missed it. Like for her
I didn't see
out.
it, but it would have been a nice detail though, like you said, 'cause either her rolling out or him kind of meeting her by the like apron area, of like hugging her when she was done. But like I said, it just tonight it felt rushed either way. Even with the ending, the way it happened, it felt rushed. I wish it would have had a longer match with more detail into it. It just at the same time, if you think of it from this point of view, it works out because Gigi and JC were focused on their championship match and getting those championship back, to the point of like they're attacking Casey Square and they're here with Ivy and Tatum, so they're not focused on Mandy tonight. And Mandy's by herself too, which is another thing you can play out later on with the storyline. Just like she didn't have her girls with her tonight. She was really by herself. And even if you play it off as well, if you think about it, Roxanne came with an injury. She had the tape going into the match as well. So just like those little details that make her even look like more like an underdog in that storyline. But it just, like I said, it just, if you think about it this way, if like this is the story of Mandy's reign, I wouldn't have like the ending of the book if it was that way, because it didn't make sense for it to happen the way it did. And it makes me sad for her at the same time, because if I had this amazing reign and I'm like the highlight of the show every single week and it's gonna end like this, that would have been such a major disappointment. Like the whole thing just scrapped off is what it feels like at this point. But I just wish it would have had a different ending than what we got tonight. But like I said, on the other hand, I'm a Roxanne fan. I love her to death. So she's one of the people that influenced me in wrestling, and not only as you know, as a female in wrestling, but as a Latina as well. So to see that representation on my TV, I love to see it. And like I said, I've been saying it for weeks now. For whenever Mandy loses, we're gonna get a lot of fresh rivalries with Roxanne. We're probably gonna get Cora coming in as well after she's done with Wendy somehow, and we're gonna see that again as well, the championship on the line. So like those little things that I'm looking forward to, but at the same time, from Mandy's point of view, tonight was like major disappointment.
Yeah. Back to Booker T for a minute here. Booker T is running over her accomplishments after she wins the match or before the match, and he mentions her being the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. He says the first Women's World Champion. And while he's not incorrect that she was the first Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, it's not the first iteration of that title belt in that company. And the reason why is because there were 4 different iterations, I believe, of the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. And every time Ring of Honor gave up on the women's division to the point where they had to redo the belt over and over again. Sumi Sakai was also a first ever Women's World Champion for Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. There have been multiple attempts to have a Ring of Honor Women's World Championship division. That doesn't take away anything from Roxanne. I just wish that when they would say these things, they would give these companies a little bit more an honest interpretation of some of these companies.
Yeah, I don't understand why he wouldn't just say she was a former Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. That was it, because she was. You don't have to say first. And that's another thing. Like, I believe they also said, oh, she's the youngest NXT Women's Champion. Paige was there. And I know Paige is in AEW, but at the same time, they're erasing it that way because it's a different championship.
Well, no, so. she's younger than Paige was.
What she wanted? I saw it online. I was like, I feel like they were about either the same age or I don't know, but I'm like in between there. But I don't know if she was the youngest as herself. I don't know. She just turned 21, didn't she?
I think so.
Yeah, but I forgot what age Paige was when she won it. But if she did, I don't
Mm.
know if she's the youngest at this point anymore. But either way, just like the way they mentioned it, I was like, I don't know if she's the youngest though at anymore. Because I thought Paige was 20 when she won it, so I wasn't sure. But the way they played it off, I was like, wait, are you erasing Paige's history here? But I know she's in AEW, so it kind of figures why they're doing it in a way. If they decided to go that route. But overall, like my favorite part of it was like they mentioned Ring of Honor. They mentioned her being a former women's world champion, which is something that I was not expecting to hear in commentary tonight before the match was happening. It's one of those things that you expect them to read off her NXT resume so far. So having that Ring of Honor mention definitely caught me off guard there. Um, but yeah, I'm just like I can't believe it. Roxanne is the new women's champion.
Hold on, I'm doing some quick maths. Just keep stalling for
Quick
me
math.
for a couple more. Just quick maths. Just keep stalling for me for a little
2021,
bit.
2021. Which one is it? Tell me. Dun dun dun. Do we get a
All right.
drum roll?
So Paige was 20, I think.
And
Sorry, there are months. Yeah. So June. So she was just about 21. And Roxanne Perez,
she just turned 20 like
yeah,
last month, I think.
she just turned 21.
Yeah.
So there may be weeks in between
Mm-hmm. So it's like
the
I feel like they're
difference.
very close, but I wouldn't say she's the youngest because I feel like that are you really doing that math with like the months and everything? Because come on, I don't think they would do that. But yeah.
I have a feeling if that line was handed to somebody from somebody backstage. So I'm going to go with the benefit of the doubt that my quick maths is wrong somehow. Paige was born in 92 in August, and she won the title in 2013 in June. And Roxanne's birthday is in November of 2001, and she
Goodness
won the
gracious
title in
me.
December of 2022.
Mm-hmm. So I
And
think
by the
they're about
way,
the same age.
I hate the fact that I have to say Roxanne's birthday was in 20 something because it makes me sick that there are people who were born after the Y2K that are now being successful in the world. Astrid, you know what? After a hectic show like this and a breakneck episode of NXT, you know what a lot of those superstars are going to need? Rogue Energy. They're going to need some Rogue Energy. And if you go to rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPODS, you're going to get 10% off your order. Again, if you go to rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPODS, you won't get 20, but you'll get 10% off your entire order. So go ahead on there and go ahead and use that promo code. That being said, Astrid, the show's pretty much over. NXT was a breakneck show. I feel like we got a lot in an hour and 20 minutes here on our show. Why don't you go ahead and give everybody your natural star rating of the week?
Oh my God. I feel like I don't know what number to give it because I'm happy for Roxanne and I like some of the little things that happened, but like the way that things were rushed, I don't know if I should give it like a 3 or 3.5. I'm like,
You're
yeah.
being far more generous than I am.
I knew you were gonna say that, but yeah.
I'm giving it a 2. Too much on one show. Nothing got the time it needed. And you ruined the ending of Mandy's reign. I jokingly said that she was the forever champion. I knew she would lose it. I
Hmm.
always thought it was going to be Roxanne Perez. I wanted it to be Nikita Lyons, but I kind of always knew it was going to be Roxanne Perez.
Hmm.
But like you said, it just felt like there was a way to end this reign, and this wasn't the way to do it.
Hmm.
Um, that being said, nothing on this show felt like it got time. Everything felt like it was rushed. And I really hope next week they settle in and get back to what the NXT that they normally are. Because this felt like a 3-hour Raw in a 2-hour NXT time slot.
Hmm.
We didn't even mention that Tiffany Stratton is coming back at New Year's Evil. We didn't even mention that there's all kinds of people getting ready to debut. We didn't mention that there's all kinds of people who did all kinds of backstage. We didn't have time to go through all the people we didn't know in the backstage segment with the women. And there's like
I mean, it
15
wasn't that
people there.
many.
There was like 15
Yeah,
women
well-
back there that I didn't know. But you know what? We're going to go ahead and let Astrid tell us where we can find her and things that you're going to be talking about, because you have ladies wrestling showcase coming up this Friday, and I think you might have a new topic for the show.
I mean, it's not far off from what we had. I was already thinking of like talking about women in sports and wrestling media more specifically, and then somebody decided to just say something that was dumb today, so that helps me too. It gives me content. So thank you. Um, no, you can find me on my Twitter, just Astrid Pizarro, and Instagram Astrid Pizarro 20. I forgot to mention it last time, but you can probably find the link, or you can ask me for the link, or you can find it on my Twitter. I guess I got interviewed by Ringside Society a week ago now. Yeah. So you can check that out on their channel, talking about being in media and a little bit about myself, which I don't say often on this platform usually. But other than that, you can find me here doing Taking Over Again with Ed next week on Tuesday, doing Making an Impact with Cody on Thursday. We're gonna have another looks like another great episode of Impact. Last week we got Speedball and Walking Weapon as the main event. It's like a whole hour show. That was amazing to watch. So if you haven't watched that match, definitely watch it. It's on their YouTube channel with no commercials. It's a whole freaking hour of goodness if you haven't seen it yet. I recommend it. Other than that, yeah, the Ladies Wrestling Showcase. I hope we go live on Friday. If not, sorry, Mel. But yeah, we're just debating on our topic at the moment, but I think we got it. Other than that, you can find my NXT review of Women's Wrestling Talk on the weekends.
And of course, you can find me here at twitch.ole, our local establishment. You can find me on my own personal Twitch at edfries2002. I'm hoping to do some more gaming content. Again, I keep saying this and I don't always do it. Hoping to start doing some more gaming content on there occasionally. You can find me on Twitter at edfries12584, retweeting the fantastic work of a lot of the people in OLE, retweeting the fantastic work of people like Mike the Ref, who helped making an impact possible, who helped make other content possible, who does his own amazing content. Our own Chris Parrish had their last match on Saturday night, at RCW. So go ahead and make sure you give him some love when you see him on this Sunday on Busting Out. All kinds of wonderful stuff going on here at OLE. Bobby Munson is going to have Fusioned on Thursday. Astrid, like she says, she's going to be live on Thursday. I might be making an appearance on Making an Impact in the near future. So maybe I'll make an impact on Impact.
Maybe. I hope so.
Maybe. The world may never know. Just like a Tootsie Roll. The world may never know. But you know what? What I know is that unlike NXT, we're not going to rush through everything. We're going to go ahead and call it quits for the night. We'll be back next Tuesday to talk about another fantastic episode, hopefully, of NXT, to have the celebration of Roxanne Perez, the new NXT Women's Champion. For me, Ed Fries. For the Astrid Pizarro.
And for me, anybody on my channel, I'm going to try to rate Mike while we're doing the outro at the same time.
All right, so go ahead and try that while I go ahead and hit some buttons. Thank you and goodbye.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around.